Okay, and we're switching between slides of just welcome slide and the slide with Spanish speaking channel information, how to join Spanish interpretation if you are joining us on the computer or via the phone.
It's like you have the power of light.
For those of you who are just joining us, welcome. Welcome to the Shafter Steering Committee meeting. We're gonna go ahead and start in just a moment. If you need a Spanish interpretation, the information is on the PowerPoint, how to join the channels via your computer audio by switching between English and Spanish channel. When you click on your interpretation globe on the bottom of your screen, or if you join in the Spanish line on the phone, there is a phone number to call in and the code to enter to hear the audio in Spanish.
Hola, muy buenas tardes a los que se han unido a la videoconferencia. Si aún no se han ingresado a la interpretación por medio de Zoom, si tenemos interpretación simultánea sucediendo, favor de seleccionar el icono que parece un mundo abajo de su pantalla, seguido por el lenguaje de español. También tenemos la línea de conferencia disponible por si prefieren escuchar la interpretación por la línea de conferencia.
Great, thank you, Mari, for providing instructions. Let's wait another couple minutes to see if more folks can join us before we start. Kim, do we see Martha on the line, our community co-host?
I don't see her yet.
Thank you. Just gonna wait another minute or two for folks to join and see if our community co-host join us as well. Thank you for your patience. And Mari, thank you for letting us know who is joining us on the conference line so we can keep track of the participants for our stipend program. Okay, well, it's 5:02 on my clock, and let's go ahead and maybe have a slow start and see if more participants will join us and if our community co-host, Martha, will join us in just a moment. Welcome to this Shafter Steering Committee meeting number 27. It's the first meeting in 2021, and so far it's really been a year. So for those of you who are joining us, thank you so much for being here tonight. I understand it's hard to make that mental break and really focus on continue focusing on work in light of all these events that are happening in our country, unprecedented events. So thank you for being here and for making this mental space to continue doing important work of implementing SERP plan and chapter and making community a healthier and more vibrant community. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Hannah Stelmakovich. I am with the Institute for Local Government, and I am your facilitator for tonight. As always, the Institute for Local Government is facilitating this conversation, and really our job is to provide neutral guidance to this process and to capture community voices and priorities as we continue to implement community emission reduction plan in Shafter. My colleague this evening is Kim, my partner in crime, so to speak. She is helping to rename you to make sure we keep our attendance and know who attended these meetings. Erica is joining us via the phone tonight, but Kim is your person to reach out if you have any technical difficulties on Zoom. Let's go back to Mari and our Spanish instruction slide to ensure that our Spanish speaking participants are all set. As always, this meeting is translated in Spanish, and there are two ways to join the audio in Spanish. If you're joining on your computer, on the bottom of your screen, there's interpretation globe. And by clicking on that interpretation globe, you can switch to Spanish channel. If you're joining your audio via your cell phone, then you're gonna call in the number you see on the bottom of the slide, on the right bottom of your slide, and you're gonna enter the code to join the Spanish line on your phone. And I'm gonna pass it to Mari for these instructions in Spanish.
Hola, muy buenas tardes. Soy Marisela del Distrito del Aire y bienvenidos a la reunión de hoy de la B617 para la comunidad de Shafter. Si necesita escuchar esta interpretación en español, por favor seleccione el logotipo con un mundo y dice interpretación. Ahí va a seleccionar el idioma español y luego va también a oprimir el botón que dice Mute Original Audio o dice silenciar audio original. Y así va a poder escuchar la reunión en español. Y luego también, si no puede asistir a la reunión por Zoom, puede hacerlo por teléfono. Y el número de teléfono al cual llamar es el 888-240-3210. Y el código de acceso es 33-73-64-5 y luego el signo de número. Gracias.
Great. Thank you, Mari. And can we please confirm that our Spanish-speaking participants are all set and are able to participate?
¿Alguien iba a necesitar ayuda para interpretación en español que no han podido entrar? No, okay. I think we're good.
Okay. Great, thank you. Let's go over the agenda. We have a full agenda today, as always. We're gonna start this meeting with standing updates, hearing air monitoring update, school filtration and bus updates, and updates from CARP and Department of Pesticide Regulation. Then we're going to continue our conversation with the city of Shafter, something that we've started last time. And we're going to do a mapping exercise where we're going to ask a committee for additional feedback on the projects related to sidewalk improvements, bikeway constructions, roads, pavements, and street sweeping. And we're going to map those suggestions in real time as we continue this conversation. Then we're going to move on to commercial and residential lawn and garden equipment. The area district will provide update on the program. And as always, we're going to ask you for some additional feedback on outreach. How can we better reach out the community so they can take advantage of this program? Before we wrap up, the area district will share annual enforcement report and tell you what type of information is in this report. And then we're going to wrap up and adjourn. As always, these meetings are open to public, and we're saying thank you to the public for participating. For those of you who are joining us on Zoom, or for those of you who are joining us via the Facebook, Kim, if we can switch to public comment slide.
Hello.
So the public comment period will be at the end of the meeting. We're going to ask you to unmute yourself and share your comments or questions. If you're joining us on Zoom, you're welcome to type some comments or questions in the chat box, and we will answer it as visible, but public comment is in the end of the meeting. And now let's go over Zoom etiquette. This is not a first meeting for all of you, but perhaps we have some members of the public who are joining us for the first time. So let's just share one more time how we approach the Zoom meetings, what Zoom controls we use, things like that. And I'm gonna pass it to my colleague, Kim.
Thanks, Hannah. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. We've been down this road before, so you guys should be pros at it, but please remember to stay on mute throughout the meeting. If you have a question, you can raise your blue hand or drop it in the chat box. We'd love to see the participation in the chat box, so please put an @ symbol if you're replying to someone there so we can track the questions and answers. If you're using 2 different devices, one for the audio and one for the video, you can link them by using your number. As always, Hannah and I are here to help behind the scenes, so feel free to chat us privately or ask us questions. And in terms of naming, I have put as many labels as I can for everyone who's on this meeting, but I put members of the public P. If you want to change that and say what organization you're with, that's fine too. Or if you don't know how to change your name, just go ahead and chat me and I'll change it for you. Thanks so much.
Great, thank you, Kim. As we mentioned, the renaming process helps us to keep track of your participation. Residents who are eligible for the stipends must be present 75% of the meeting. And to ensure that we got everyone's on the line and we know who is who, Kim, let's take a moment and look at the participant list and ensure that we know all the participants are renamed and we know the phone numbers.
Yeah, so there is a number, a 562 area code that we don't have labeled. I think that's Long Beach because I went to school down there. So if somebody here wants to let us know who you are, we can go ahead and rename you. Or feel free to chat us as well. And other than that, we have Jose's iPhone also. Is that Jose from Carb?
Yeah, that could be me. I'll rename myself. Sorry.
Awesome. Okay, great. So yeah, other than that, just the 562 number, if we can get that one identified, then we've got everyone else taken care of.
Okay, well, let's keep moving so we stay on track. I see that Martha is joined us. Martha is our community co-host. Welcome, Martha. I'm glad we're passing this baton to you for co-host welcome.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Martha, the chapter host for today. Today, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about me. I am 32 years old. I'm Sagittarius. My favorite animal are horses. I love singing in the shower, of course. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes, Martha, we can hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's my computer. I'm on my phone, actually, but the computer screen went off. But anyways, I'll keep going.
We can actually still see you, too.
Oh, yeah? Oh, anyways. Well, I'm just going to tell you guys a little bit about me. I love singing in the shower. I love dancing, most of all putting people's smiles on their faces. What ticks me off are lies, excuses, and rumors, okay? I am here with you guys for a reason, and I hope I can make a change for myself and for my community, and to work with you guys as a team and to accomplish all that is needed so we can all live healthy and a long life. I'm sorry I have this written, but it was something that came through me, through my thought. That way we can all work together, expecting for some of us to do everything. We can't expect everything. We can't expect just you guys to do everything. I think it's, oh my God, you guys, I got too nervous.
Martha, you're doing fantastic.
I'm sorry. I like.
Great.
I
You're doing
okay.
great.
I'm sorry. All right. All that is needed so we can all live a healthy, long life. We all work together, not just expecting for some of us to do everything. I think that even the people in the community also needs to put part. I bet if we just all stop going against each other and unite as a team, we can have that one change we've all been looking for. I don't know how many years it's been for us to find this change or you know, but I think it's time to stop. Being greedy and everything is what with each other. Let's just be real. Honestly, that's what causes every single thing in this world. And let's stop being so ignorant for once. I think we should all, for once, already start doing a change together as a team. Not expect just one person, everybody. What do you guys think? I know I probably didn't make sense, or I just got too nervous.
No, you did great, Martha. I agree. And we preach that a lot around here. Everyone has to be willing to do things. It's not just, there's not just one industry or one source that we can go after. It's really going to be a combination of everyone working together.
Yes. I mean, how is there going to be change if we don't all do a part, you know?
Marcia, thank you for that very timely and very warm introduction. And if you're looking at the chat box, some of the people are texting best intro ever. Very timely that to do change, it takes collaboration, it takes patience, and it takes this work, commitment, working together. So thank you for reminding us why we're here, why 48 people joined us on the phone today. It's not just committee members, it's all other participants, state agency, local agencies. Yes, we're all here, all doing this together.
Yes, I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying my best. I just get too nervous.
You're doing fantastic. And co-hosting, it's hard. It's really hard. It's not easy. Okay, thank you, Marcia. I'm gonna check in with Jamie to see if Ryan is on the line. It's hard for me to see all the participants.
I don't think he's here yet, but I just want to welcome everyone back. I hope everyone had a fantastic break over the holiday, and I hope that they are staying healthy and being safe. We are so grateful for all of you that you take the time to come and participate in this process. As Hannah said, it's been a crazy week or so around here, and we are just very thankful for this group and everything that they do.
Okay, thank you, Jamie. Okay, well, let's start with our standing updates, our traditional standing updates. We're gonna start with air monitoring updates that Chai will present, and then Jamie will talk about school filtration and bus updates, and then we're gonna go to Department of Pesticide Regulations. Nan, I believe, is on the line, and I believe Carp.
All right, thank you, Hannah, and good afternoon or evening. We're getting pretty close to, it's pretty dark already, and I hope everybody's doing well. Good to see you all. So just a brief update here. I'm just going to go give a quick recap of all the locations as well, just to remind everybody where we have these monitors. At Shafter DMV, that is already in place, and we are monitoring PM2.5, PM10, and also doing VOC and PM2.5 speciation to get a better understanding of all the various pollutants. And also we have a PM2.5 at Grimway Academy. We are currently working with Richland School District to install PM2.5 monitor at Golden Oak Elementary. We've worked with a contractor, have identified a location. It's going to be on the northwest location behind the portables there. And so at this point, what we need to do is we need to install a gate there and then install the electrical infrastructure there, and then we should be ready to get that one started. And then we have another one that we're working with Richland School District at Sequoia Elementary School. And on that one, it's going to be nearby the other air monitor that DPR has, just a little bit south of there. And we've worked with the contractor and the school to identify the location there and all the things that needs to get done. At this point, what we're going to need to do is get the contractor to build a fence there to help block that part of it, and also get the electrical and get the electrical through to that particular location as well. And so we've already got the logistics addressed. It's just a matter of getting that implemented. So hopefully in a few weeks here, we'll get that done. And another location is the Shafter Farm Labor Camp, and that's where we're hoping to put the trailer at. And we just met with the third electrician there last week to get the quote. So once we get that quote set and established, they can start building the necessary infrastructure there, and then we can get the trailer over there and get that started as well. And lastly, here is in Mexican Colony. That's one of the locations that's been difficult. We've had a lot of challenges in finding a good, safe location, and thankfully, I've gotten in touch with Bianca here, and she's going to. There's quite a few individuals that we may be able to do monitoring at these various locations. So we're looking forward to getting that information and getting further air monitoring done over there. And in the meantime, while these are not in place yet, we're using the van to do the monitoring. So we're looking forward to get these permanently in place, and then we can do the van monitoring at other locations and just getting these real-time data out to everybody.
Can you guys hear me? Can I interject? This is
Sure.
Sal from Supervisor Couch's office. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
As far as a monitoring location in Mexican Colony, the county just bought a property right there in the middle of it, and it could be usable for your purpose. I don't want to speak for sure that it is, but I can check on that tomorrow.
Oh, that would be great. Do you have a contact? Maybe if you can put your contact information in here, or do we have that? And maybe we can reach out to each other. Or I'll send you my email, and then
Okay.
we can communicate from there.
Okay, I'll put my cell phone in right now in the chat room.
Annabelle, sorry, I'm going to go ahead and interrupt. It seems like we might be having some technical difficulties. Annabelle, ¿me escucha? Tenía una pregunta porque tenía el micrófono prendido.
Sí, lo que pasa es que mi esposo quiere entrar a la tablet en español, pero yo estoy en mi laptop, pero no los puedo, yo no los puedo ver, ni ustedes me pueden ver a mí.
Ok, entonces, ¿problemas con la cámara entonces?
Y el idioma.
Oh, entonces no puede tampoco en la laptop, no puede ver la interpretación abajo, el logotipo del mundo.
No.
Ni una de los dos.
Okay, so it sounds like she's having some technical difficulties. They're on the laptop and the icon for the interpreting is not coming up. So entonces vamos a tratar de ver, vamos a ponerla otra vez en silencio y voy a tratar de ver si podemos hacer otra cosa para ayudarle. No puede escuchar, nomás que no nos puede ver.
Sí.
Okay, so it sounds like they're both there. They're just having technical difficulties in seeing us, but they can hear the meeting.
They need interpretation. I don't know if you can help them out with interpretation.
Oh, ya sabes que mejor, si gustan, puede llamar al número de teléfono, así puedan escuchar la reunión.
Señorita, disculpe, he tratado de entrar por el teléfono, tampoco no me da acceso al teléfono.
Okay, déjeme darle, can we put up the phone number on the screen, please?
Yes.
Oh, they can't, actually, they can't see it anyways. Hold on, let me just get that to them over the phone or over the system. Okay, el número de teléfono tiene el 888.
Discúlpeme un ratito, por favor.
Okay.
Es el teléfono que tengo aquí es 888-240-3210.
Sí. ¿Y el código?
Entonces, el código, el passcode es 617, creo.
No, el código es otro. Déjeme darle ese número.
A ver, ¿cuál es 33734645?
Sí, y luego el signo de número.
Ajá, lo mismo he marcado, pero no me da entrada. Me contesta el operador y me dice de que no puedo entrar a la conversación.
Okay. He's also said that he's trying to log into the phone system and it's also not allowing him to get in.
So he's not able to join via the phone?
No.
Okay.
Potencialmente una posible solución, señor Fermín, podría ser intentar dejar la junta de Zoom e ingresar nuevamente y a veces eso arregla cualquier asunto técnico.
Ok, está bien, es lo que voy a hacer.
Ok.
Y respecto a mi esposa hasta que se rompe. Ok, gracias.
Okay. Sorry, they're going to log off and then try to log back in as well.
Okay.
Right. Do we want to wait for them to get back on, or?
Let's maybe wait just one moment, and I'm just going to remind everyone the Zoom meeting etiquette that we're following in this committee. So if you would like to ask a question or have a question or a comment, we're kindly ask you to raise your hand, and then we'll just monitor the line of people who would like to talk and help you to unmute yourself. Members of the public, again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're kindly asking you to utilize the chat box during the meeting in the process, and our district will try to get back to you via the chat box as feasible. And our public comments period, where we're asking you to unmute yourself and talk to us, we'll have it at the end of the meeting. But again, thank you for participating. And the beauty of the Zoom calls is that we have two opportunities to submit and participate. It's the chat box. Members of the public don't have to wait until the end for the verbal public comments. Use the chat box in the process. Okay, looks like Mari, Annabelle, they logged in back. They're back.
Anabel, ¿ya pudo ingresar y también ingresaron bien o todavía están teniendo problemas?
No, todavía no puedo ingresar, señorita, ¿no?
Pero estás oyendo.
Pero puede escuchar la interpretación o todavía tampoco no.
Sí puedo escucharlo.
Okay, so entonces si pueden poner el micrófono en silencio y luego ya podemos seguir. Si no, vamos a tratar otra vez de ponerlos en la número de teléfono, en la línea. Okay, gracias. It sounds like they're okay for now.
Okay, great. Thank you everyone for your patience. Again, we want to ensure that all the committee members are all set technically to participate. Okay, Chai, seems like we can continue with your update.
All right, so that was the update for the monitoring location, and just wanted to also mention that we are still continuing on working on an interactive air monitoring map for the van, and also integrating all the community air monitors into RAN to our existing regulatory air monitors, just to make it a lot easier for the community to view the air quality, and also to view the readings from the community air monitors as well. So that pretty much concludes my update, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Great, thank you, Chai, and thank you, Saul, for your earlier comment. Very helpful. Any questions or comments from the steering committee members? If yes, please raise your blue hand.
It looks like Linda asked how long the trailer will be located at the labor camp.
Thanks, Heather.
Yeah, on that, as far as the time frame, we don't have like a set time frame on it. I think one of the main things is we're going to be definitely going to be working with the steering committee as we start monitoring over there, and I'm thinking at least 1 year to to get the trend for the full seasons, and get a good understanding of what type of emissions that we're seeing over there, and depending on what we see, what we're getting out of that, and we'll be bringing that to the committee to take a look at, and to see if we need to extend that a little bit further or not.
Okay. All right, I see no other raised hands. We're gonna keep moving along the agenda. Jamie, what is happening with school filtrations and buses? What's new?
I'm actually going to punt that over to the grants committee. And I think we do have some grants supervisors on the line, if I'm not mistaken.
I see them
Janine-
both.
Okay, cool. Janine, are you there?
Hi, actually, this is Crystal Yunker. I'm going to take this one for the team.
Thanks, Crystal.
So I'm pleased to provide an update to the committee tonight in regards to the electric school bus and air filtration strategies. The district has been involved in ongoing communications with the Richland School District to follow up on the status of their interest in deploying electric school buses within the community. They have identified some challenges with the charging infrastructure needed to support those buses, and we're currently working with them and their team to identify and coordinate additional funding with other sources to support that installation of the charging infrastructure. We're going to continue with our regular scheduled meetings to help support the school district in moving forward with the deployment of the buses, as well as engaging the school district to understand their air filtration needs specific to each school site. The school district is in full gear as they're returning from the holiday break. So they're getting up and going this week, and we're getting our next meeting scheduled within this next week and a half, so we can move forward on these two topics. That's the update I have for you guys tonight. I'd be happy to answer any questions should you have any.
Great. Thank you for the quick updates. Just like with air monitoring, wheels are in motion. And I see Linda has a hand. Linda, thank you for raising your hand.
Thank you for doing all that work, Crystal. And I was just wondering how many buses Richland was going to commit to, and if we did in fact offer them to Maple. I thought there was mention that they were also offered to Rio Bravo Greeley, and I was just seeing if any more were interested. And then as far as the air filtration system, did I hear last meeting that we had possibly thought about maybe including something that might help with filtration with air and COVID? Was there something said about that?
You know, that's a great question. I wasn't present on that last meeting to know what was discussed in that regards. We have heard some feedback from the schools in other communities as well, with that's something that they're looking at, that they're being mandated to look at in the current times that we're in. So that'll be part of the discussion when they're choosing what works best for them. And then for the bus question, they've got some contracts right now, which is what we're looking for, but we're definitely needing to tackle that infrastructure part. That's one of the key elements we're going to need to move forward with getting these buses in that community.
Okay, and then we've also talked to not just Richland, but Grimway Academy that's here, and then our high school is actually in the Kern district, not under Richland, just so they're not forgotten, because I know it's a little confusing.
Okay, we can bring back some more updates on those two at the next meeting, most definitely.
There was another, I think, committee member that possibly brought up maybe rolling it out to like a preschool or say after school care or like a youth center. Did we ever get any feedback on that? Whether if there was funds available later on, if they would be eligible as well, since they also have children there in after school programs?
That's really something a bridge will cross when we get to it. Right now, we're not certain if we're going to even have enough funding for the schools that easily fall within the guidelines. So if we do have funding after we've got all the schools where they need to be that fall within the guidelines, then we'll revisit those schools that fall outside of the guideline.
Okay, thank you so much for the update.
Thanks, Linda. Bianca, your hand is up. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. I do have a question in regards to the electric school buses. You had mentioned having some difficulties of finding locations like charging stations, but I remember that previous meeting they had mentioned about having like central charging stations for the city of Shafter. I was wondering, would the school be open-minded of maybe charging those buses or in those locations, or it has to be stationed in the schools?
This is Todd. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jamie.
Well, I was just going to say that we actually have a strategy for some alternative fuel charging stations as a separate SERP strategy. And for schools, most of the time the schools put their charging infrastructure within their bus barn so that they can keep it secure. So the schools, I think, will want to have their charging where they totally control it, but we do have other funding in the SERP to do additional charging out in the world for other folks, other people that may want to use it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to circle to our participants on the Spanish line if they have any questions. Or
¿Tenemos alguna pregunta en español? Parece que no en este momento. It doesn't look like we do at this time.
Great. Thank you, Marisela. I'm going to keep us moving along so we stay on time and on track. If you have any questions for Chai or Crystal, please drop your questions in the chat box, and they're still on the line. Thank you so much. Okay, next we have a standing updates from Department of Pesticide Regulation, and I believe none is on the line.
Hi guys, hold on a second, let me get on the video.
Here you are.
This is moving really fast tonight. That's great.
Don't jinx it.
I hope not. Okay, so let's see. I think last month I talked a little bit about our 1,3-D mitigation pilot. Some of the, stating that we've done some work in the Shafter area and we were collecting data. I think, there's not much to report on that project relative to the Shafter area. I know I'm working with a number of stakeholder groups to line up some additional growers who would participate on the project with us. I think for this one, I know I gave some updates as well last time on the local notification conversations that we have with Kern County, the commissioner, and as well as statewide notification. And I think for today, I do want to give the group kind of an update or a heads up on our interactions with Kern County on the local notification. In around mid-September, I think around, just after around December 8th, 17th, just before the holidays, DPR sent a letter to Kern County essentially requesting that the county submit regular reports of approved notices of intent. We refer to these as NOIs for intended pesticide applications for pesticide products containing 3 fumigants. Those are 1,3-D, chloropicrin, and MITC. All of these are actually used around the Shafter, in and around the Shafter area. Specifically, we're asking the county to provide us with these notices of intents for applications that's within 7 miles of Shafter, so that DPR can in turn provide a notice to the community. And we're asking the commissioner that the reports need to be provided to DPR at least 24 hours before the intended pesticide application. And in the spirit of collaboration and cooperation on the community notification pilot project, we will then post information on a DPR website. And we are looking into providing emails or potentially what's called like those push notifications, like texts, to those who request them. So I think this is a pretty significant development. I know we have discussions for quite a while on this, but we're basically just establishing a more formal communication or request to the commissioner. And like I said, we sent this letter last month. We're hoping to hear back from the county by January 8th, which is this past Friday. However, we haven't heard back quite yet, but I think it's reasonable considering that we sent the letter just before the holiday period to hear from the commissioner sometime this week. I believe that's should be the case. And just so you know, we'll follow up on a development on this with the community steering committee, of course. By the time we have, well, hopefully I don't have to wait necessarily till the next month's meeting, and I might be able to share some additional information directly from to the Air District to the committee. And as you guys know, this is we consider this notification to be a pilot program for a statewide notification, and that project continues to go on. They're somewhat tied together, and we're continuing to explore all the various options, various costs, various information, what we call IT aspect of the statewide notification. As well, it's continuing on. It hasn't really stopped. We're moving ahead with the current plan to develop some sort of rulemaking for the statewide notification. That might take a bit longer than something that would happen locally, but at the very least, I'm happy to report that there is some development on the local notification part. I'm pausing a little bit, but I do want to kind of switch over, and I'm sure there'll be questions, but right now I want to switch over to a bit of some additional good news on a different front. And a number of you may be aware that the Governor, Gavin Newsom, the governor's office, released its proposed California budget for the fiscal year starting this July. And in the budget, there are elements that essentially supports a new funding mechanism, funding structure for DPR, for the department. And this is, of course, with support from the Cal EPA, our agency, as well as the governor's office. And this funding structure is a little bit different than the flat fee that we've been funded through. Basically, at a very high level, it's proposing to establish funding or collection of fees or funds through a tiered assessment of the pesticide products signal word. A signal word is established by US EPA, and essentially, you could have something that's it's different level of gradients of toxicity to humans. So in the future, we're looking to potentially establish a system where a more highly toxic product would have to pay a higher fee versus, say, a low toxicity product. That's something that's been really supported all the way up to the governor's office, and it's a very unique approach to the funding. With that said, I do want to make sure it's clear that this is proposed. This is currently in the governor's proposed budget, but it has to be discussed, and it has to work through the whole budgets, the budget cycle, where we make it through to the May revise, and then also into the new into the actual budget. If that's the case, it's going to be very unique. What's most important to this group because of that is DPR knows the importance of community protection and also air monitoring. There are some major components within that particular proposed budget change proposal that contains an expansion of our air monitoring network up to as many as 8 monitoring sites once more. For those of you who may remember that we were working with CARB to maintain a number of monitoring stations. So we're hoping to get that back up to that many again. Also, we're asking for funding and also for positions to support more activities for AB 617. So obviously it's very relevant to you guys, which means that we might be able to, we will be able to do more with the Shafter community group, as well as some of the other AB 617 communities that we will end up working with within the next couple of years. I know that's a lot of information to kind of digest, but I do want to point these things out because these are recently, developing situation, and I wanted to get on the radar screen of the group. And I'll just kind of stop there for now and see if folks have questions.
Great. Thank you, Nan. Seems like a lot of wheels are also in motion, including continuing with the pilot program, establishing the formal communication with the current county, and potential developments with the new governor's budget proposals, tiered system, expansion of air monitoring networks. A lot of things are happening.
Yeah.
I
Been
do.
busy.
Thank you for being here. Bianca, I see your hand. Thank you for raising your hand.
Yes, I just have a question about the budget proposed. Are you going to be asking for residents or EJ advocates recommendations for any usage of those fundings, or is it just going to come strictly from DPR?
Well, I think the funding, the tier funding has to be approved by the legislature. So I think there's certainly a pathway to make comments and submit your thoughts through, to the legislature to support, or I'm thinking you guys want to support that, to support the process. In terms of, we don't really know that, we're going to have the funding in place, the positions in place, unless this is essentially approved within the budget. Once we have the budget in place, assuming this is all approved, then we could probably have more conversations about how we would spend the funds and how we would dedicate our folks to do the work. It's hard. I think we laid out some general areas where we want to spend the money. In terms of, how would we assist into the 8617 process, for example, or the air monitoring network. But we don't want to get ahead of ourselves and start determining what should be done when we don't have the approval yet. Does that make sense, Bianca?
Yes. And also, do you need any of our support here down locally to get this to happen faster, or in letters of support, or is there anything that in our part we could help out for like the governors to get that approved faster?
I probably want to check back with my group to determine that. I think that's certainly a possibility. I just know this is a relatively recent development, so because I haven't really thought that far out, but I think we still have some time to within the budget process to figure out what we can do. But I'll talk to you, and I'm sure Bianca and Gus, I think Val's been reaching out to you guys too. So I'll make sure I'll synchronize with Val and give you some follow up on that.
Great, thank you, Nan. I love how active this committee is. You guys are always asking, what else can we do? How can we support? What do you need from us? You are the best. Let me circle to our participants on the Spanish channel to see if they have any questions for Nan.
Does not look like we have any questions.
Great, thank you, Maricela. And Gus, I do see your comment in the chat box. And Nan, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding that with establishing this official communications channels, so far it's a one-way communication. The letter went out, so there was no response letter yet, right?
We don't have a response yet by the date that we had requested a response by, but I believe.
Yeah, whenever I touch my ear, I hang up accidentally.
I believe the commissioner did contact our either Val or one of our executive folks. So I think he had mentioned that he was going to get back to us this week.
Yeah. So I don't want to put anyone on the spot in this meeting. Perhaps as a group, this is our monthly updates. DPR is always here. You can always reach out to them. As a group, we can pin this conversation once the official response comes back.
Yes.
Bianca, we're going to take one more question from you, and we're going to keep moving because, as I said, Nan just jinxed us.
No, I'm so sorry. I just have this quick question. I did remember from my notes. I'm going back to all my notes. You mentioned that the T-loan report, it was going to be available in March. Would it be available for our March meeting or our April meeting? That's just my small question. I'm sorry.
I'm glad you brought that up, Bianca. I don't think I gave you the best information last time. I did mention that our report for our first edge of field or field application monitoring for that particular pilot project was going to be out February or March. That's actually when the data comes back from the lab, our CDFA lab, to us. The report will probably come up after that. I had thought that date was actually the timing has to do more with the report, but that actually is the data generation from the lab. So I would say that the first report would come out probably, April, May, June.
Okay.
Thanks for pointing it out. I should have brought that up earlier.
So we would see it April, May, or June.
Yeah, and it's specifically, it's a report based on the work the monitoring work that we had done in, what was that, late November, I want to say, into early December. But we plan to do additional studies beyond that. I've been lining up some growers to work with us over the springtime. So that's just one of additional studies field studies we'll be doing.
Great. Thank you, Nat. And just want to say a quick thank you to Michael James, Director of Public Works with the City of Shafter, for your patience. We're gonna go through one quick committee update, and then we're gonna start circling back to our conversations with the City of Shafter. Scott Wall, hello, Happy New Year. Do you have a quick update for this committee? And Scott, your sound is not working. Your microphone, it doesn't seem like you're unmuted, but we cannot hear you. Okay, so I wonder if we're just gonna move on to the next agenda item. And Scott, you can actually join us via the cell phone, work with Kim to see how to do that. And then after we're done with the next agenda item, we'll circle back to CARB updates. Okay.
You just put in the chat, there's no new updates. So I think we're good to move on.
Oh, thank you. The guys, the multitasking of chat monitoring and talking and looking at the raised hands is, you would not imagine. It's insane. Okay, moving on. Our next agenda item is a SERP measure mapping exercise with the City of Shafter. What does it mean, you may ask? Well, it means that we're continuing the conversation we started at the last meeting. As you recall, we had Michael James and Wayne classes at the last meetings from the meeting from the City of Shafter, and they shared with this committee information about various projects that are in the pipeline for the City of Shafter. Why they're here? Why they're talking about these projects? Well, because this project is part of implementing the SERP measures, actually several SERP measures that committee prioritized. And as you may remember, the area district cannot necessarily build the bicycle lanes or sidewalks or paved roads. But as you remember, those measures are in your SERP. So that's why the area district has to, and this committee has to coordinate and collaborate, word of the day, and continue this conversation, not only with the City of Shafter, but also with other jurisdictions, including the county, which I potentially will be attending this meeting as well. And working together with this committee so that not only you folks know what projects are on the horizon, what projects are in the pipeline for the city and potentially for the county, but also for the city to understand what are your feedback on these projects? What are some concerns and some immediate reactions and thoughts on the projects that the city is thinking about? And most importantly, hearing more from you. What are the community needs? Where else do we need sidewalks or biking lanes or electric car charging stations? What else is missing? You are in this community. You know what other needs, what other potential projects or locations will benefit this community. So that's why we're here today, again, continuing the conversation that we started last time. And this time we're gonna do just a little bit differently. We're still gonna have a large group discussion, but we would like to map your comments and potentially suggestions for, for potentially new locations where to get those bike infrastructure going. We're gonna map your comments and suggestions online using the tool that we call Social Pinpoint. But before that, I'm gonna pass it back to Michael James, who's gonna, for those of you who especially missed the last meeting, so he's gonna briefly walk us through projects that he mentioned last time. And we're gonna do a little bit more structured discussion. We're gonna talk, let me zoom in my screen. We're gonna talk about projects, but we're also gonna talk about categories. We're gonna talk about, bike infrastructure, street improvements and pavement, sidewalks, and street sweeping. So we're gonna talk about all that. And as you're looking at this map, start thinking about what I've mentioned prior. What is your initial reactions? Some maybe quick concerns with the projects that are in the pipeline, and where's there's additional need for the community for additional projects. Without further ado, I'm going to pass it to Michael.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to participate in tonight's meeting. At the previous meeting, I was given the opportunity to explain what the city of Shafter has envisioned for potential partnerships with the committee to accomplish mutually beneficial objectives. And since that meeting, the district has produced a very simple but effective tool in which everyone can hopefully, point to areas of the city and the overall Shafter community, not necessarily just everything within the green boundary, which is the Shafter city limits. But hopefully everyone will get an opportunity to participate and prioritize what projects are important to them. What we're looking at right now, I think, are some of the, I actually test drove the mapping tool earlier this week. And I was basically just documenting the projects that I previously covered in December. And what we're looking at right here, we're highlighting the location of a potential electric vehicle charging station, which is immediately adjacent to the what had been the community correctional facility that was owned and operated by the city, but has been forced to close. So the city owns this parking lot that we're looking at on the left there. And there's a potential for at least 40 parking spaces that can be equipped with lighting and charging stations for whether it's buses, private vehicles. There's a lot of potential. And because the city doesn't really necessarily have a defined plan, but in December, we wanted to get that conversation started. And so this is the same location that was brought up in December. And I think there are other locations. One I see at North Shafter that along Highway 43. That what we're looking at right here is actually Stringham Park, located downtown at the corner of Laredale Highway and James Street. I'm sure Shafter residents are very familiar with the site and probably recognize that it's an underutilized park. There's not a lot of activity there, and the city is hoping to change that. One project on the immediate horizon is a transit parking lot that we partnered with the County of Kern on. Later this year, we hope to design and construct a parking lot in the area highlighted there at the existing park site that can be the relocated site of the county regional transit system. The current regional transit stop is located at Shafter City Hall, 336 Pacific Avenue. But that particular location is a bit challenging. It doesn't really offer adequate parking for the users of the transit system. And this particular site could be a lot easier for the buses to navigate in and out of. And again, it would provide adequate parking, and maybe it would be more appropriate to have a bus station next to the existing park. Now, there is the potential that the parking lot outlined in red there can be also used for electric vehicle charging stations. So again, there's nothing is imminent. I mean, as far as the charging station goes, but we have entered into a partnership with the County of Kern to at least develop that parking lot at that location. And at the previous meeting, one of the residents, I believe, was concerned about the aesthetic quality lost by taking out the trees that are obviously there right now. I just think it's important to point out to the community that the council has directed staff to restore the presence of trees along the streetscaping of Laredo Highway and James Street. So we hope to make sure that there's a beautification of the parking lot as well. If we might want to zoom out one more time to kind of zero in on the North Shafter site right there. This by far, I think this area has the most immediate need. Everyone's familiar with Highway 43, I'm sure, coming into the north part of Shafter. It's a state highway. And it's although it has 2 lanes in each travel direction, what's concerning to the residents in the North Shafter area, and I'm talking like from Tulare Avenue all the way to Mare Lane, is that it's just an unsafe corridor. Vehicles are traveling at least 55 miles an hour, more than likely faster than that. And then there's just a lack of pedestrian and bicycle facilities for the residents there to have safe and reliable access to the core city businesses and schools. So the city Shafter has commenced a project to design street improvements, not only along Highway 43, but all of the interior streets that are shown there, which include Sunny Lane, Clausen, Prince Lane, and others. So, and that effort is underway. And I think we had some encouraging dialogue with the committee last month as far as the benefits, not only to the residents, but the overall air quality. These street improvements would entail curb, gutter, and sidewalk for adequate drainage. And once we have adequate street facilities, the city can extend its street sweeping schedule to this part of Shafter. So, those are the projects that were covered last month. And then and we're highlighting the same projects in this mapping exercise. I just wanted to emphasize that this is not the beginning. This is not the only projects. These aren't the only projects that we've we intended to bring before the committee. It was just intended to kind of get a conversation started. I think we've accomplished that. And through this mapping tool, hopefully we can continue to identify needs and projects that'll be mutually beneficial to the community and the city. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Jess, I'm going to put you on the spot for just a moment. Can you remind us what the circle means and what the green line means? Michael just zoomed out the map. Just want to make sure that everyone is on the same page. What do all lines mean?
Definitely. So all we have here is as we, I think, are mostly familiar with the 7-mile radius, which is the radius that encompasses the 617 boundary for Shafter. The green is just outlining the Shafter city limits, but as something that Michael just pointed out and was certainly mentioned last time, this is just to indicate, of course, jurisdiction or where the Shafter city, given that is the office that Michael comes from, this is sort of their jurisdiction, but that doesn't mean that we can't talk about places outside of this green line. There are a couple of reasons why. One is we can always take the input that we received today and make sure that it's forwarded to the proper folks, whether it's the city or the county. But 2, also something that was mentioned last time is there is a certain sphere of influence. There are certain areas that, of course, all of this is interconnected, that can certainly be related to one another. So it's definitely something that the city can take into account. This is just to help you understand where the city limits are. So that's the green line.
Great, thank you so much. So what we're gonna do for the next, I think, 35 minutes, let's start with the projects that Michael described. And I know this committee provided some of the feedback last time. So let's start with those projects and see if there's any other feedbacks, concerns, or suggestions or immediate reactions. Whether it's transit center upgrade and amenities, or regional electrical vehicle charging stations, or improvements, pedestrian and bicycle path improvements, and street pavement improvements for Highway 43 area. Okay, and I see Linda.
I just wanted to support every single one of these projects that Michael had brought up. I think that they all benefit our community in so many ways. The fact that the city would be able to put in charge stations and allow for buses and other things to be electrically charged, that sounds great. You know, I'm a huge proponent of trying to get a safer corridor for residents and students walking along 43. And I like that the city council and staff had taken in consideration about the park and making that in, you know, the bus station and keeping the trees. I do believe that there was an accident in our current bus stop because it is located on Highway 43. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a car or something hit it. So I think this would be a safer area if we did move it over there. Those are just my thoughts as a resident, but I really think there's some great things here that our city can benefit from.
Great, thank you, Linda. And this is exactly the type of dialogue and feedback input we're hoping to have in this meeting. Is if there's, you know, quick concerns, this is a perfect time. The city is here. They can respond to your concerns if feasible in real time. And, you know, if there's a safer area to put those bike lanes or other elements of the project, that's what we would like to hear from you tonight. Michelle.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Okay, the city just purchased that piece of property behind where we were talking about over there in North Shafter between Fresno and Tulare on behind Clausen and Prince. If there was a bigger road there, I mean, we have, you know, Myrick's Corner, and we have a lot of traffic of kids walking to school. If we could put more of a big sidewalk or a walking path or a bike path back there on the property the city bought, that maybe those people wouldn't have to walk on Highway 43, you know, get them off that dangerous road and all the kids on that road also.
Great. This is excellent suggestion, Michelle. I'm just gonna give Michael a moment to type your comments. As you can see, the reason we call it exercise because we are dropping those pins, those locations, those exact street names that you guys are mentioning right on the map. So we have some tangible outcomes at the end of this discussion. Michael, you just give me a heads up when you're done so we can move on to the next comment. We just want to
I am ready, but I wanted to respond and let everyone know that you might be aware that the city conducted citizen engagement sessions in November and December, specifically about the park, which is right there where Sunny Lane kind of dead ends. Or not on the west side, on the opposite side of 43. That's where the property the city acquired, and we're pursuing a state park grant for a community park to be developed at the west end of Sunny Lane. And the citizen engagement was pretty productive on a lot of different levels, and we did get a lot of feedback about the need for walkways in which folks can use to possibly even avoid having to be on Highway 43 to ride their bikes or walk to the local schools and businesses. So we did get that message loud and clear, and we're definitely going to consider that.
Great. Thank you, Michael. Our Spanish-speaking participants, any suggestions, thoughts, reactions, concerns?
So far, I don't see any comments. Maybe if we could ask one more time. I know it takes a little time to unmute sometimes.
So my understanding, we're giving Spanish-speaking participants 1 more minute to see if there's any questions.
Okay, so far we don't see any comments coming through.
Okay. Looks like Linda and Michelle have another round of comments. We're gonna go with Linda and then Michelle.
I just had a few more thoughts here. Since we're talking about safety of students and children, the Shafter Parks and Rec is going to be moving over closer to the city yard. I believe it's off of Ash, meaning that students are probably going to have to cross Lerdo Highway. And I know this wasn't really originally in our SERP, but if there is a way to get a bike path or a safe walking area for them to, I don't know, maybe a small little overpass over Lerdo, I just worry about them crossing Lerdo Highway because I see very small children on scooters trying to get to the Rexon Park area behind the high school. They're left on their own to get to practice. So that was just a comment I had, and which also brings me to my next item. I know that we have, as a committee, set measures for the SERP, and I know that we're also on a deadline to spend some of the funds. So with that being said, I was wondering when that timeline started, how much longer we have to get the funds allocated and spent. And also, when we were in front of the cardboard, Gus had brought up the fact that if some of the items weren't spent in some of the programs, that we could possibly reallocate the funds. And I was just wondering at what point in time that would happen as a committee where we come together, because I see these great ideas coming from the city of Shafter and others and that weren't in the original SERP. So I was wondering, when that could happen. Another thing I just wanted to bring up, because I think we have some new members on here from original. There was at one of our meetings, and I saw it in the comments, so I wanted to bring it up. There was a gentleman, I think he was from Kern County Public Works, and I believe I looked at the old roster, and I think his name was Michael Dillenbeck. There was a support letter that
you like getting a box of
that came from Craig Pope, and I thought it gave a lot of really great information about sidewalks. I saw there's an attachment in our notes that had a lot of the sidewalk or the areas that don't have sidewalks in the 7-mile radius. So I was wondering if we can open up the discussion with Kern County Public Works if there's extra funds to areas like Cherokee Strip, where they're right on 43 and they have no curb and gutter. And I do see children walking from bus stops back when we had school. I was just wondering if we can open up that discussion and maybe get that support letter to some of the newer members so they can see the importance that sidewalks have, not just with safety, but air pollution too. Sorry, that was so long.
It's fine. Thanks to Nan, we're on time.
Linda, I can answer part of that question. This is Todd DeYoung from the district. You asked about timelines for funding, and certainly the clock is running on the money. At this point, the funding that's been allocated to Shafter has an expenditure deadline, which means it has to be paid out by June of 2022. And so that's right around the corner, in essence, that, we've got some serious work to do for sure. I don't want that at all to sort of stifle the creativity of the group and the opportunity to look for new projects, but you know, they do have to, we do have to sort of keep moving forward, because the timelines are fairly tight at this point. And you know, there may be an opportunity down the line for an extension on some of these funds, but you know, as it stands right now, it's June of 2022.
Is there a way to have some type of spreadsheet, or, I mean, I know this would be a lot of work, but I know we had certain things in the SERP that were allocated a certain amount of funds. And is there a way to see how much has been spent so far on some of the programs, so we know if there is some extra funding that's available? Because I think that it would be important to this committee to keep this money in Shafter, and we would all need to come together and discuss where else we can put these funds now that these great ideas are coming into the community.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly something we can do, and we've, you know, we've really just started hitting our stride in terms of spending money, you know, going through the process to get a lot of these project plans approved by CARB for some of these programs. I don't know if it was mentioned yet or not, but we just did today, I think, get the final approval on 2 of our measures, the low dust nut harvester program and the alternatives to ag burn program. We just got final approval from CARB on those today, so we're going to be opening up those programs very, very soon. And there was some significant funding involved in those programs. So, and then we have the commercial and residential lawn and garden, which I think we're going to get an update on in a few minutes. We're rolling those out right now. So we're really just starting to open up a lot of these programs that have sort of taken us some administrative steps to get open. But yeah, I think we can certainly at a future meeting show you kind of where we are, and with the understanding that obviously we don't want to lose any of this money, and we want to make sure that it does go into good, meaningful projects here in Shafter.
I mean, one of the things I know we had met, I think there were 78 electric charge stations put into the SERP. I heard Mike say that he might have room for 40. I don't know how much those cost, but you know, if there's room for money to be allocated. So you said it has to be paid out by June 2022. Does that mean the application, or however this works, needs to be to you by when?
It all depends on the program. Some can go very quickly. You know, vehicle purchase projects are a fairly quick turnaround. But you know, like some of these major public works type projects, you know, might take a little bit longer, and we'll have to get creative in terms of how we fund those, and how we look at those moving forward. But again, I just, you know, time is of the essence, but I don't want to stifle any of the creativity and any of the good ideas that I'm hearing. We just need to kind of keep these moving forward and kind of keep our eye on the clock.
Linda, I appreciate all these questions, and I hear that the issue of fiscal transparency is important not only to you, but I assume to a lot of this committee members, and sounds like the Air District will have some numbers to report to you guys. I want to keep us focused and respect the time of Michael's time and other folks from the city of Shafter, and kind of circle us back to the map. Linda, great suggestion that there's additional information about the sidewalks from the previous meetings, I believe from Michael Dellenbeck, so we can definitely look it up and share with the city or the county as and also I wanted to circle back to Michael. And Michael, did you get all those locations that Linda mentioned? I've seen you dropping the pins. Did you get all of it?
I'm actually dropping the pins, Hannah.
I was like, who's that magical person behind the scene? I'm like, Michael, you're good.
No,
Michael
that's
is
definitely
good, though, so he could. I'm fully confident he could have also done it.
It's like, wow, you've learned social pinpoint so fast. I'm so impressed. Okay, and Michelle, you have a hand up, and then Angie. Angie, we're gonna go to Angie. And folks, as Jessica mentioned, and Linda kind of hinted on that, don't just think about the Shafter, but think about the 7-mile radius. So the categories, where else there's a need in the community for the bike lanes, where else there's a need for the community, what you're seeing, what you're experiencing, what you're hearing from others for roads improvements and pavements. What about sidewalks? Where we need more sidewalks, fixed sidewalks, things like that. And then at the end of the conversation, we'll circle back to the street sweeping, but let's just keep focusing on sidewalks, road improvements, and bicycle paths. Michelle.
I know that Laredo's kind of an issue. It goes through the right middle of town, you know, with their schools and everything. But the corner of Valley and Laredo, there's an empty yard there or lot. I don't know who owns it, but maybe there's a situation there for car charging. It's a little more central on that side of town. Just maybe something that may work, or if we take trees out of one side, maybe we could put some trees there or something. I hate to always lose trees. So, but I don't, you know, it's over there by St. Teresa's. So there's a big yard there. I don't know who owns it, but maybe that's another place to go look for somewhere else to put something.
Hi, this is Wayne Clausen with City of Shafter. Yeah, that property is privately owned and it's zoned for multifamily residential use. It just hasn't been built on yet, but it is privately owned.
Thanks, Wayne. Angie.
Hi, thank you. A question for Michael James. I was just wondering if he had knowledge of any works in the process for sidewalks on East Euclid from James going east towards the youth center, right up until Kirschman Park. I know there's curbs, there's gutters, but there's no sidewalk. So I have kids that walk to the center, and in rainy days it's muddy, or they have to walk in the street, which is kind of narrow anyway. That kind of puts them in some danger. Just wanted to see if you knew of any plans for that block.
We, as far as I know, we have a street improvement project, which is basically consists of pavement reconstruction further west. The pavement's in pretty rough shape over there, but I'd be happy to take a closer look at that stretch that you mentioned for sidewalk improvements. I'm very familiar with it, and I think it's a good suggestion.
Okay. And my other question was, I think it's more for Sal Moretti with the county, but the neighborhood at Poplar Avenue, just south of Riverside to about Orange, they have no curbs or gutters, and with the rains, everything floods really bad, and the mail truck comes by and creates these big craters that you can almost put your car in if you park in front of your house. So that would be another place that we could look at for curbs and gutters and possibly sidewalks.
Right.
And also the speed limit there, because it's zoned as a 40, but they fly it at 75 and 80. And there's been big accidents there recently.
Did you say the neighborhood at Poplar and what?
Poplar and
This is
Riverside.
Sal.
Poplar, south of Riverside, north of Orange. It's where the 7-day Adventist school is.
Thank you. I'm just gonna check in with Jessica to make sure she got all the comments in.
Is this the area that you were talking about?
A little further north. Right there.
That's about it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Jess, you good?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. I see the hand from Gus, and Gus, if you don't mind, we're gonna go to our Spanish-speaking participants first, and then we'll circle back to you.
Really quick, we do have a message in the chat from Mrs. Annabelle and Felipe Marquez, just letting us know that they would like to know if we could invest in Mercury Light because our city is very poorly lit. And I'll wait to see if we have any other comments.
Unfortunately, unless I'm missing something, I don't know that there's an air quality benefit to the lighting. If there is one, let us know and we can totally investigate it. But the AB 617 funds are tied to either reducing air quality emissions or mitigating the impact of air pollution on health through like school filters.
But thank you for bringing this up, because the city of Shafter is here and they're listening and they're hearing additional needs from the community. So this is great. Rain, I believe there's no other questions.
No other questions so far.
Okay. Suggestions. I actually were asking
No, yo
for
sí tengo
suggestions here.
Sí, diga, Anabel.
Porque si dicen que si se puede quedar inversión, algo, se puede quedar alguna inversión aquí en la ciudad. ¿Por qué no utilizarla en alumbramiento, que les acabo de mandar el mensaje? Porque pues en todos estos años la ciudad de Shafter nunca ha hecho nada por tenernos con mejor alumbramiento. ¿Estás diciendo?
Ahorita voy a traducir, señora Anabel. Yes, Mrs. Annabelle is letting us know that the reason why she wanted to make sure that she mentions it is because in all these years, she hasn't really seen any investment in lighting, and she still feels that it is a very important topic to cover.
Yes, Annabelle, thank you so much for
De nada.
You're welcome, she said.
Thank you for bringing this up again. You have a right audience. You have the city of Shafter who is hearing this need from the communities. Thank you. Gus, thank you for your patience.
No, thank you for taking my question, and good evening, everyone. This is Gustavo Aguirre with CCEJN, a resident of unincorporated East Bakersfield, and also a steering committee member in Shafter. And well, I don't really have a question. I mostly have a comment, and that's one of, our organization, along with me being a member, really support the idea of building sidewalks and gutters. With some of the work that we do also in South Kern, the Kern County Public Works did an amazing presentation at one point that, a study that looked at, turning unpaved sidewalks into sidewalks. One, not only did it increase walkability in the community and therefore access to walking, but also decrease the amount of PM 2.5 pollutants by walking and by traffic. And so it had a direct nexus to reduction of air quality and improvement of built environment. And so we definitely support any kind of projects that look at newly paving sidewalks and also improving sidewalks and gutter, but by all means. So that's my only remark I had.
Great, thank you. Thank you guys for sharing. So folks, as you're looking at the map, you see there's a little bit more pins are popping up. We see some orange pins, which you told us where improvements of sidewalks is needed. We see some red pins, which tells us where road paving or road improvement is needed. So what we don't see is any ideas for bike lanes suggestions or anything else that comes to mind as you're looking at this map. And maybe let's spend the remaining 10 minutes definitely thinking about the street sweeping locations. Where some locations where street sweeping needed to be improved. So keep thinking about that. I see the hand from Yolanda, and I know you're from Public Works. Maybe you have some good comment for this committee. And then we'll go to Linda.
Yes, thank you. This is Yolanda Alcantar with Kern County Public Works. We initially did have people on the committee. Sean Baylor participated for a while, and then Michael Dillenbeck and Alexa Koloski is the current representative, but we lost track of the meeting, so we apologize and want to get back in there so that we can provide needed comments. And I wanted to thank Gus for his comments because we did work hard on trying to find gap areas that could be improved with these funds. And I provided a map link earlier in the meeting that shows locations where sidewalks could be improved in the county pockets, and also locations where there's only dirt shoulders exist, and those dirt shoulders could turn into bike lanes. So I don't have the total mileage, but there's quite a few miles of potential bike lanes out there. So I just wanted to point out that I provided that information in a link.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. Linda.
Just one, sorry. I'm just really excited at the possibility of bike lanes. I don't know what the city has planned, and I was hoping maybe we could lean on what Yolanda just brought up with Michael James and Wayne, because I'm not sure how the city is planned out, but if we could get bike lanes in Shafter, I just think that that would be a really great thing for our community. I see so many people out exercising. I see so many people commuting across town, and it would be a safer way for kids, like I said before, to get across town. So I don't want to step on their toes on where these could possibly go, but I just wanted to, as a resident, say I fully support bike lanes just for health, reduction in air pollution, car pollution, all the above. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Linda. And again, the point of this conversation is to really ask you, where do you see the need? This is just this brainstorming conversation, like, tell us what you see, where do you see this need? And we're dropping this on the map that the city and the county in the future can use this feedback when either planning for the projects or implementing.
Hi, this is Wayne from the city of Shafter. And I just, the city does have an adopted bicycle plan, and I'd be glad to send that to the folks at the Air District so they can send that copy to everybody on the committee. And there's definitely plenty of room to make improvements to that bicycle plan. Not a problem.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne, for clarifying. So yeah, if you you cannot think about any bicycle lanes right now, maybe after reviewing the plan, you can see, you can think about maybe additional locations or improvement of the existing locations, things like that. I wanna circle to our community co-host. I wanna circle to Martha. Martha, do you have any thoughts?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Hi guys. Thoughts about? Sorry.
It's okay, you're good.
Yes. Thoughts about what? I'm sorry.
Oh, you're totally fine, Martha.
Oh no, I was just asking, like, what kind of thoughts would you guys like for me to answer?
Yes, so any reactions from you on the location suggestions, or would you like to expand what you mentioned in the chat box?
Yes, I think also around, what would it be? I think it's on Orange, our Mexican colony. That side over there, that's the side that's mostly needs more help than, honestly, than this side.
Okay, this is great. And when you say more help, can you be a little bit more specific?
Yes, as in pavements, as in lining, anything, the trees, because I think, I'm not sure if it's the almonds or it's grapes over there that they have over there.
Okay. Just we captured those locations? Looks like we did.
I think so.
Okay, excellent. For the remaining 8 minutes, I would like to ask this committee about any suggestions for the street sweeping to improve the street sweeping, or where the street sweeping is needed. I see no action.
¿Qué quieres decir con limpieza de casa? Acaba de decir qué sugerencias para el suite. Sí, eso está diciendo arriba de aquí. Para más.
you explain or let us know a little bit more about what you mean by street sweeping?
Thank you, Annabelle. So one of the SERP measures that is in chapter SERP is street sweeping and working with the community to identify additional areas for sweeping the streets or areas that already have this service, but the service needs to be improved. Jessica.
I think it would make sense for one of the people from the city to explain what street sweeping
Perfect.
is.
Perfect. You make it easier for me, Jamie. And I'm like, what is street sweeping?
Well, speaking on behalf of Public Works, we have a dedicated street sweeper that we should be sweeping residential streets that have curb, gutter, and sidewalk at least bi-weekly, every other week, just to make sure that the gutters are clear for adequate drainage for the most part. And then the dust on the pavement surface is limited, is minimized. So throughout the city, not only the core city that we're looking at, but also Gossamer Grove, which is off of 7th Standard Road. We should be on a bi-weekly schedule. Parts of downtown, I understand, are done daily. And then we also sweep fully developed portions of Highway 43 through an agreement with Caltrans. So if we were able to extend curb, gutter, and sidewalk to North Shafter, then our weekly street sweeping would be extended there as well.
And just to piggyback, at least in my community, a street sweeper is a gigantic truck that has these brushes that brush the dust and the leaves and the junk on the street kind of up into the machine to clean it up. Is that what you guys have, one of those big trucks?
Yes, it's about the size of a tow truck, a large tow truck, and it has brushes at the bottom. And generally they operate early in the morning, so you may not see them that much. We try to sweep them before people get up, leave for work, or in the middle of the day when there's not as many people out. So you may not see it too often.
Thanks, Michael, for explaining. Yes, we cannot see them too often, but sometimes we can hear them.
True.
Okay, based on what Michael shared, any additional thoughts on the locations in chapter where street sweeping can be improved or expanded? Angie.
I just wanted to say, I think right now the current challenge with street sweeping is because we're in the middle of our brush and limb collection season, and we need to have people more aware as to following the rules as to not making their leaf piles so large and onto the gutter and making those blockages for the gutters. It's just, I think it's just more education or awareness that the public needs, but it's a challenge. But it's not a challenge that can be, that's like too hard to overcome.
Yeah.
Correct, and I appreciate you bringing that up because the brush program is something that the city conducts from December through February, where residents of Shafter that in the core area are allowed to place their tree leaves and limbs in the street, and we try to pick it up on a set schedule. And it is a challenge in that we try to make sure that those piles that people leave don't block at least the drainage in the curb and gutters, and it makes street sweeping a little inconsistent through February. But over time, I think the brush program will likely have to be phased out due to state regulations. We'll have to conduct organic green waste collection programs. Everyone's going to have a green container, but still, the brush program is going on right now as we speak. And it'll last through February, and it is a challenge to balance routine sweeping and adequate drainage during that time.
Great. Thank you for bringing this up, Angie. So what I'm hearing, definitely education and outreach is very important part, and not necessarily locations come in mind, but definitely some type of action, that what comes in mind. Okay, well, I'm gonna circle back to our Spanish-speaking participants for our last round of comments or suggestions.
Anabel, ¿tenía más preguntas para nosotros antes de terminar la reunión?
Yo solo quiero decirles que aquí donde yo estoy, sí. Se barre la calle 2 veces al mes, no más. El primer jueves de la primera semana y el último jueves de la cuarta semana. Entonces, yo pienso que si tuviera más barridas, fuera mejor, se juntara menos basura, menos tierra, porque sí se junta mucha tierra.
The only thing that I would like to
Reina, I think you put yourself on mute. Sorry.
I was going off. Okay, so Miss Annabelle lets us know that the only thing that she would like to draw to attention is that on her street, the sweeper does pass 2 times a month on Thursdays, the first Thursday of the month and the last Thursday of the month. And she does feel that if it was going by more frequently, that we would have less dust on the streets.
And can we clarify what is her street is? So Jessica can drop it.
¿Y cuál es su calle, señora Annabel?
No me gustaría decirles, porque la otra vez que di mi dirección, 2 semanas no me quisieron barrer mi calle las primeras veces. Y que dije algo en contra de los de la ciudad. So, aquí a una cuadra después del Lerdo.
Mrs. Annabelle lets us know. I almost don't want to tell you exactly what my street is, because it seems like last time somebody decided to retaliate against me and not drop by for a 2-week period, but it is about 1 street away from Lerdo.
Perfect. Somewhere near that street, we need more frequency. We hear that. Thank you, Annabelle. Okay, well, thank you so much, everyone who participated. And again, this is just the beginning of the conversation as we continue work through the various SERP measures. And with this conversation, as I mentioned at the beginning, we are, addressing several measures that is in your SERP, including supporting projects that reduce vehicle miles traveled, providing funding for bike path infrastructure, street sweeping, roads and sidewalk improvements. But again, to car share programs, to implement these measures, as I mentioned, district needs to partner with the city, with the county, with the actual jurisdictions who have authority to design and build and implement those projects. But where your work is so critical as a committee members, you know where, you know how often, you know why, and that's where we're having these conversations. And I believe these conversations are to be continued. I would like to maybe pass it to Michael for a couple closing words and how committee will stay informed about any potential projects that's in the pipeline in the future.
Well, first of all, I'd like to have, if possible, regular updates to that mapping tool. The Shafter has its own mobile service app for its residents, but I'd like to see if I could have access to the information that Jessica and the district collect, maybe during this meeting and after the meeting. And from this point forward, that'll hopefully enable us to develop a priority list and explore areas of funding. It sounds like with June of next year, we've got our work cut out for us if we want to get some improvements built with the funding that we have available. So fortunately, with street designs and street projects, those are, if they're existing streets, they should be pretty straightforward to design and build. if you have adequate funding. And if there's anything outside the city limits that's in the county, I mean, we have worked very well with the county before on infrastructure projects, water, wastewater, and others. And we would be happy to continue to work with the county on joint projects as well. So, and I look forward to kind of hearing more from you as we progress through this process.
Great, thank you, Michael. I don't see anyone from the district unmuting themselves, but I believe this collaboration is to be continued for sure. I see them nodding. Okay, again, thank you for participation and stay tuned for the next steps. Okay, moving on to our next agenda item, which is commercial and residential lawn and garden equipment. And with this agenda item, the district will provide update on this program and also share how the residents can take opportunity of this free equipment upgrade. And as you're listening to the district, as always, as we always ask this committee, think about who else should the district be reaching out to inform about this program? How can we increase the participation rates? Who we should be talking to and how should we be reaching out? And with that, I believe I'm passing it to Brian.
Thanks, Anna. But Janine's going to take this one this evening and give us an update on the lawn and garden programs, but appreciate it.
Thanks, Brian. Janine here with the Air District. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to present today. I'm very excited to share some new information on our CGYM Clean Green Yard Machine program. So last month we took these program enhancements to our governing board and got approval to operate them. And since then have been working to make updates to our existing programs to account for these enhanced incentives for our community such as Shafter. So I'd like to give a brief update about the commercial program and then go into a little bit more detail about the residential one. So our commercial program is near completion as far as being able to launch the revisions with those enhancements. This will be targeting enhanced incentives for school districts to clean up their existing handheld gas-powered devices such as blowers, trimmers, edgers, things of that nature. And receive some enhanced funding to get all electric equipment to utilize at the schools located within the community boundaries. We will also be obviously targeting other commercial type landscape businesses that are operating within the community. There won't be any enhanced incentives for those companies, but we will be providing our standard incentives and that enhanced outreach to get the information to those companies and get a higher participation rate for companies functioning within the community boundaries. So that program should be launching very soon, probably within a very short period of time. We should have that one up and going. On the residential program, which is providing the incentive to the residents of the community for replacing their gas-powered mower to purchase a new electric zero emission mower, that program has launched. So we're very excited that we just opened that program up just the end of the day, Friday. So over the weekend, it was up and going. And I'm going to see if I can share my screen here and pull up a little information to walk through the process for residents who want to participate in this program. So the enhanced incentive for residents is only for our option 1, but option 2 is still available to them if they want to participate in that. So option 1 will provide residents of the Shafter community a rebate of up to 100% of the eligible cost of that new lawnmower, up to a maximum of $500. In our analysis of recent applications that have come in over the last year, most of the mowers that people are purchasing fall under that $500. So we have a high level of confidence that most people will find a mower that suits their needs for under that amount and be able to receive 100% rebate back on that purchase. So the process for this program is a pretty simple, streamlined process. They need to go shopping pick out the mower that they want to purchase, make their purchase. They need to save that receipt because they'll be submitting a copy of that to us with their application. They'll take their old gas-powered mower to a certified dismantler. We have participating dismantlers listed on our website. They'll get a form from the dismantler proving that they submitted their mower for destruction. They take that form along with their receipt and submit it to the district with an application for the rebate. So once we receive their application and their documents, we process that and then issue a check mailed back out to them. The second option that I mentioned does not have an enhanced incentive, but it is available to all Valley residents, and that's for the handheld equipment as well as mowers without any old equipment being destroyed. So this is simply a new purchase. It is a much lower incentive, but it does still help new homeowners that may not have old equipment that are making a purchase for the first time, helps to incentivize them to make that selection to go to electric rather than gas powered. I'm going to switch my screen now. Let's see if I can get this one up without a problem. There we go. So on our district website, we have a very easy application process. I would like to point out, as I scroll down here a little bit, under option 1, we do have a couple of links here, and you'll see there's one for Shafter. If a resident isn't sure if they fall within the boundary lines, they can use this link and open up a mapping tool that allows them to enter their home address and see if they fall within the boundaries to see if they're eligible. We will also be mapping projects as they come in, if they are within the particular county, to ensure that we catch all of the applications that fall within the district, the community boundary line. When applying, we've got multiple ways that somebody can apply. Our website does have a very nice online application submittal. This portal has the option of both English and Spanish with an easy little language button here at the top. And it will go through basically all the questions that the applicant will need to fill out. There'll be a spot for them to upload their documents. They can do an easy picture from their phone of their receipt and their dismantler form, upload those. There's a little authentication security component to it. And then once their submission is complete, they'll receive an email with a verification that it was submitted properly. So I'm gonna stop sharing the screen there. So we're going to be working with Jamie's fantastic team there in outreach and communication to provide enhanced outreach to the community so that we can make sure that everybody knows that this program is now open to them and available, and ensure that everybody can take part if they wish to do so. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Great, thank you, Jenny. And I like how you opened the website and showed us like where to go and how to apply. If you can drop that link in the chat box, that would be great. We're gonna go to Bianca and then Angie.
My question is for like the AB 617 area for Shafter, would it also include La Colonia Mexicana as the 7-mile radius, or how is that working? Would those residents also be included in that type of funding?
Yeah, so this program will cover everything within that 7-mile radius circle. So on that previous map that we were looking at, that Jessica had up, that purple circle, that's within that circle is the boundaries that we're looking at for this grant program. Now, of course, all Valley residents are eligible to apply. It's just those within that community boundary get that enhanced incentive. We do have a lower incentive for all the other residents of the Valley.
And for the application, can you drop it in the link? So just in case if any of the residents wants to apply, I could help them out for the application too.
Yeah.
Can I also help them to do the application, or do they have to submit it?
No, you can, there are multiple ways, and I apologize, I kind of got excited about the portal because it's such a neat feature that we have now. I forgot to tell you guys about the other ways to apply. So you can apply just print out an application, fill it out, pen and paper, and mail in your application. We do also have an email address dedicated to grants that you could submit the application and documents through if you want to, scan it and send it in that way. If you want to assist them on our web portal, then you can do that. They would just need to have that email address to put in so that they can get their copy of their receipt back. If you are helping them and are using your own email address, technically you could do that, but it would be best if they have a dedicated email address of their own in which to apply and have their copy of their receipt. And the receipt is basically a copy of their application, and it gives them the information that it was submitted and what their application number is in case they need to call us and talk with us about something.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Bianca. Angie, you're next. And I also see a very good question in the chat box, Jenny, for you after Angie has hers. How can residents, committee members help spread the word? And will it be on the Shafter side? And can they work with the Chamber of Commerce? Can we work with the Chamber of Commerce and the city to help spread the word? But I'm gonna go to Jenny first. Angie. It's getting late, everyone. It's getting late.
Okay, I was waiting patiently. I just had a quick question on the option 1 where you surrender a gas-powered mower to go to the dismantler. Does that have to be a working mower? Does it have to be intact? Because I can see people say, I'm going to collect this piece and this piece and this piece, and this makes one, and here.
Yeah. It does need to be a working mower. So it does need to be the mower that you were previously using to mow your yard with. Now, every dismantling recycling yard has a little bit different requirements. So we do instruct participants to call ahead. Some of them will want to make sure that the fluids have been drained from the mower before they bring it in. It just depends on the licensing that the facility has, if they're allowed to accept and dispose of those fluids or not. But yes, it does need to be a functioning mower that they are currently using.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Jenny. And if we can just maybe in 1 minute, because we still want to talk about annual enforcement report and what type of information you'll find in the report. If in 1 minute you can share with the committee, let me find that question. If committee members can get copies to spread the word, and Linda, maybe clarify like a flyers, a paper copies, what do you mean by that? And is it appropriate to work with the Chamber of Commerce and the city to help spread the word about this program?
So I know that we are definitely looking for input on where we can best message and how we can best message. I know that Jamie and Heather in our OC department have been working very hard with their team to start gearing up for that messaging. So any feedback from the committee and the community members on ways that they think that messaging can best be accomplished, we're definitely eager to hear those ideas and suggestions.
Great, thank you. And I assume it will be posted on Facebook so that committee can reshare information.
100%. Social media definitely will be doing. We'll put a flyer together, and we will reach out to the chamber and the city. I did make note of all of that.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, excellent. And again, I'm so excited how helpful this committee is. Always you guys excited to participate, to help. It's wonderful. Okay, let's see if we can do it in 4 minutes. I don't know, we'll see. But before we let you go, the Area District wanted to share the annual enforcement report that they put together. And it's a long report considering all the events last week. We do not anticipate you guys to read it or get familiar with that report, but we still wanted to show you where to find this report and what is in this report. And I believe Jason is going to give us a quick update.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So a couple months back, I came to one of these meetings and gave everyone kind of an enforcement update, just some updated numbers on some of our enforcement activities in and around the community. And we intend to continue doing that on a quarterly basis going forward. What this is an annual report that'll be put together once a year that provides all of the details in more depth. Along with the initial SERP, a little over a year ago, there was one of the appendices to that SERP was Appendix F, which had a lot of the same information going back about 3 years up to the adoption of the SERP. So what this annual report is a continuation of that. This gives you all of our enforcement notices of violations that were issued, complaints responded to, inspections performed, from where that previous report left off up through the end of July of 2020. So there's a couple places where you can find this. If you have the agenda for tonight's meeting pulled up, there's a link right here. You can also find it on the community page if you go to the annual report, and it's right next to the 2020 Shafter report is the Shafter enforcement report for 2020 in both English and Spanish. So I'll pull up the English version here just to give a quick demonstration of what you can find in this report. So there's 4 sections to this, and there's kind of an introductory paragraph to each one of these that explains, what this information is. So the first part of this is just an updated list of all of the permitted facilities within the Shafter community, which includes the 7-mile radius. So these are facilities that are required to have permits to operate with the district. So these are the ones that we're inspecting on a regular basis for compliance. And so it just gives you, like I said, this is all the details. So it's going to have the name of the facility, the address, and just a brief description of what that facility does or what kind of business it is. And then after that, the next section is going to be a summary of all of our inspections that we've done over that time period from, I believe this report covered everything from May of 2019 up through July of 2020. So this would be all of those, regular compliance inspections that we're doing at these permitted facilities, as well as any other types of inspections that we do, startup inspections for new equipment, source test observations that were done, and even breakdown investigations if a facility reports that they've had some kind of equipment malfunction or breakdown. So this will, again, it'll have the name of the facility, the address, the date that that inspection or site visit occurred on, and then what type of site visit it was. If this was, just the first day of a, regular compliance inspection or multi-day inspection. Some of these are, well, a lot of these are single-day inspections. Some of them may be multi-day inspections. So you'll see the same facility listed for a couple of days in a row. That usually will indicate it was a multiple day inspection. And the next section after that is going to be a summary of all of our complaints that were responded to within the Shafter community during that same time period, May 19 through July of 20. And these are, any public complaints that were reported to us within the boundaries. So some of these may be associated with one of those permitted facilities, but there's also a lot of complaints that we get that aren't associated with a facility. They may just be a complaint about an illegal burn or source of fugitive dust. But this will give you just kind of the cliff notes of each one of those complaints. And I know it's kind of hard to see here because there's a lot, but if you've got this, you can zoom in and you can see for each one of these, it'll give you the date and time that the complaint was received, the location, and if we were able to identify an owner or operator of that location, that name. It'll give you the type of complaint it was, the actual description of what the complaint was as it was described to the district, and then the resolution. What was the outcome of that investigation, and a brief summary of what the district's findings were and if there was any action taken.
Jason, if you can wrap up in 1 minute, I'm sure a lot of people are noticing patterns with the tables. So yeah.
Yeah, just one more section, and that last one is very similar to the complaints, and that's just all of our enforcement actions that were taken. So, these would be if we issued a notice to a facility or to an individual that there was a violation that was found. This will have that violation number, the date, the location, what the violation was, and what rules were violated. And that's basically the quick overview of what this report is.
Perfect.
Happy to answer any questions.
And again, folks, the goal is just to let you know what is in the report, what type of data you're looking at, what does these tables mean. We did not expect any of you, to read this report, considering everything that has been happening. Our Spanish-speaking participants have received a paper copy in the mail. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna let you to, study that report. And if you have any thoughts, questions, reactions between the meetings, send it to Jason's way or Area District's way. Okay, we're at 7:04. Let me see if I can do a wrap up in several minutes. I'm gonna circle to Heather and see if we have any public comments on Facebook or folks who are participating on Zoom, if you have any public comments or questions.
We do not currently. Thank you for checking.
Thank you, Linda. And I do see your hand and I want to acknowledge it. And I'm wondering if you're comfortable moving to the chat box, if you would like to stay on the line maybe a couple minutes more, if you have a question for the Area District once we adjourn this meeting.
I can wait if you want me to.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so no public comments. Community co-host Martha, our dear Martha, you did such a great introduction, really set the tone for the meeting. What are some final closing thoughts for this community and moving forward? Closing thoughts for this meeting. Would you like to say a couple words? I don't know if we lost Martha. Martha, I'm gonna give you maybe another 20 minutes to unmute yourself if you have some closing thoughts for your fellow committee members. Did I say 20 minutes?
Yeah.
No, we cannot hear you, Martha. Let me see if I can ask you to unmute.
Okay, now can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Now I can hear you.
Honestly, not really. It's just we just all need to work together as a team, and yeah, and show actions, you guys. Actions is, oh my gosh, yeah. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry.
No,
I get
that's
too
beautiful.
and I'm trying. It's
You're
really nice working with you guys. It's something different. It's been helping me a lot, honestly. I was in depression, and it's helping a lot. Yeah.
Aw, I'm sorry to hear, Martha, but we're here and we're here for you. And you just said everything beautifully: collaboration, teamwork, and action. Excellent.
Yeah.
I know Martha set the bar very high for community co-host, but if you would like to volunteer for our February meeting, please let us know in the chat box or unmute yourself. Stay on the line and let us know. And with that.
Yes, of course. Can you guys hear me still?
With that, I think it's safe to say the meeting is adjourned at 7:07. We're a little bit over time. We're gonna blame it on Nan. He jinxed us. So yeah. Nan, of course not. We're gonna blame it on
I'm listening. I hear you.
I know. We're gonna blame it on Hannah. The meeting is officially adjourned. Stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourself. And we will see you next month. Thank you for participating and being 100% present. I know it was very hard.
Hannah, can I still ask my question?
Yes, you can.
So I believe Todd said that the grant funding for the low dust knot harvesters just got approved. So I'm assuming we don't have any of those yet. But I did notice that over off of Beach, between Fresno, I think it's Tulare, someone had chipped a bunch of trees up. Was that part of monies from this, or is that one of the ones that hadn't been approved yet? And going forward, will Valley Air be keeping track of things like that for the committee so we can see who's chipping up the trees and not burning them? Or
Yeah, hey, Linda, we did have a alternatives to ag burn project there in Shafter. I can kind of look up the specific info and circle back with you and look and see if that's the same one.
Okay.
And then the idea is to continuously recruit additional projects in that area to be able to utilize the funding that we have.
okay, yeah, I was just curious on who's using the program and if we could start pushing it to other farmers of how easy it is and who they're using and the money they save.
Yes, and we're working with local growers, representatives from the growers to try and get the info out about these programs so that they're, people can take advantage of the funding that we do have available.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Linda. And I saw your question in the chat box about the, I believe, agenda setting meeting. I think those are always on the books, right, Jamie? The agenda setting meetings.
We usually do a meeting, kind of a prep meeting, and we will do that again for this group. We also will have a question for you guys about timing of the meetings and some other stuff coming in the next month or so.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. And yeah, good night, everyone. Unless you have pressing questions for the district.